Greetings! In this video I'll be painting an Overseer of the Iron Warriors Legion. To represent this, I've used a Mk.III body armed with a power sword and an Umbra pattern bolt pistol. I've also used some third-party Terugis, extending from the plate that already exists there, and a third-party helmet that matches the old Overseer helmet shown in the older Horus Heresy references. Like I do with most of my videos, I prime the model black off camera with my airbrush, though you can use a railcan spray primer if you prefer. I started by painting the armour with Iron Warriors. This dark steel colour will serve as a basis for pretty much everything going forward. The next part I worked on was the yellow. I wanted to do a different pattern on each pauldron, and to have a yellow faceplate. I remember seeing this helmet with an orange faceplate somewhere ages ago, and thought it looked cool, so I'll be doing that with the yellow this time. As for the application itself, I used Averland Sunset, and applied probably around 10 thin coats to get complete coverage. If you prefer you can use different colours to build up to the yellow, but I wanted some practice applying thin coats. Next, I applied Yriel yellow in the same way, increasing the brightness. This took about 4 coats. For the trim of the armour, I used Runelord brass. This can take some time on the Mk.III armour, considering all the trim on the legs. Now for the hazard stripes. I used Abaddon black and painted some lines where I roughly wanted the middle of each stripe to be. Then I slowly built them out from that. For the other pauldron, I just painted in the corners so that there would be a single yellow stripe down the middle, positioned vertically. At some point, I also painted the power pack with black as well. I applied a gloss varnish in preparation for decals on the pauldrons and the knee, then applied them off camera. The transfer sheet and the Saturnine box has all the markings I used, including the Overseer marking. Next, I used Ironbreaker to layer up the silver armour and to add some shine to the weapons. This was applied to the upwards facing surfaces and edges fairly roughly. I followed that with Runefang steel, applied similarly to the previous step, but in smaller areas and in the middle of some panels to make a central shining point. I then went in with Sycorax bronze and painted over the Runelord brass. This was an attempt to make the trim match the colour plates a bit better, but I don't think it changed too much. For the scrolls attached to his waist, I used Zandri dust as a base coat, painting in all the paper bits. I followed that with the Ushabti bone, layering up the most exposed bits and along the edges. A final highlight was done with Screaming Skull, painting the edges and doing some thin lines to represent crinkles in the paper. Moving on to Mephiston red now. I painted in the eye lenses, as well as the wires present on the legs and the power pack. Evil Sunz Scarlet followed, highlighting the previous red but avoiding the recesses, or inner edges, to act as a transition. To highlight the lens, I used Wild Rider red, making sure my camera was out of focus and painting along the middle. Finally, Lugganath orange was applied as a thin line throughout the middle of the lens. Next, I got out the Mechanicus standard grey and highlighted the edges of the black power armour and the weapon casing. I went back in with Runefang steel and highlighted the rivets on the power pack that I missed. I forget these so often, you'd think I'd remember this by now. Lastly, I did my usual enamel wash with AK's dark sepia pin wash, painting it pretty much all over the armour. I made sure to paint it into the recesses of the armour, and especially over the yellow on the pauldrons and the helmet. If you let it pool a bit, when it's dry it leaves a nice grimy finish, which I think works well to both shade and weather the model in a single pass. After I let it to cure for a few hours, I applied my usual basing method and sealed everything in with an ultramatte varnish. And here we have it! An Overseer from the 4th Legion, the Iron Warriors. I really like this one. I was apprehensive about painting the yellow and the stripes, but I think the end result's pretty good. I've always liked the idea of painting an Overseer. Their markings date back to the Rogue Trader era, where it was used for the Field Police. It's nice to see them bringing back some of the really old stuff. I gave the model the scrolls on the belt, thinking that when he's caught a naughty marine, he gets out his scroll and cites the exact thing the dude did wrong, before rendering out punishment. As for the paint job itself, I'm fairly happy with the outcome. The trim was a concern, but with it finished, I think it's well within the range of references that I've found throughout the books. I was thinking about giving him a Phobos bolt pistol to go along with the Mk.III armour, but I wanted to give him the newer Umbra pattern, implying that this is a Heresy era model, and that he favours his older Mk.III armour over the Mk.VI armour, which I think suits the Iron Warriors better anyway. But anyway, hopefully you guys are enjoying the 30k print jobs. I know these aren't as rare or unique as chapters I paint otherwise, but I'm hoping you enjoy the flavour of the different armour marks, and personally the references here are a lot nicer to work with. I'll have some more 30k videos coming in the future, alongside the usual forgotten chapters and the like. And of course requests, which I can now start planning building, as my printer's back up and running finally. Anyway, that's all I got for this one. Hope you stick around for the next one.